you think this is just about trust. You're missing the big picture here. The truth is more than what's unseen, it's what's being hidden deliberately. And no amount of disdain can change that fact. He chuckles, a sound devoid of humor, and continues his address to Furious Phil. You talk about ignorance like it's some kind of defense against reality, but the real ignorance here is in thinking the government has our best interests at heart. They're not just hiding things, they're actively shaping what we know and don't know. Turning to DJ Rocco Blaze, he nods in acknowledgement of the hip-hop narrative reference. You got a point there, Rocco. This ain't about beats and rhymes, but it's definitely about power and control. The government's been spinning their own tales for decades, and it's time we started calling them out on it. His gaze shifts to Deshaun Two Phones Miller, a hint of respect in his voice. Two Phones is right, the truth is out there, and we need to find it. Not just for fun or profit, but because knowing the truth can set us free from the lies we've been living with. Finally, he looks at Jay-Z, Buck Callahan, T. Morales, Dr. Alina Varga, and Furious Phil in turn. Everyone here wants answers, but the only way to get them is to stop trusting the government blindly and start demanding transparency. Because when it comes down to it, the truth is all we have left. He leans back, his posture relaxed but his eyes never leaving the room. And let me tell you something else, if anyone here thinks they're going to keep hiding behind lies, they've got another thing coming from me. I'll be the one shining a light into every dark corner until we get some real answers. Mr. Mean, your theatrics are predictable. The power and control narrative. It's a tired tune. I've built empires on recognizing patterns, not relying on suspicion. Transparency isn't about demanding it, it's about structuring systems that produce transparency. You're operating on the assumption that the government is inherently malicious. That's a foundation built on faith, not data. I deal in leverage, not speculation. Let's talk about what demonstrable information you possess, beyond a generalized sense of distrust. Show me something concrete. Something beyond a dark corner you intend to illuminate.
Come on, Jay-Z, you think I'm just some paranoid conspiracy theorist? You're the one built an empire off the sweat and blood of others. Transparency ain't about no fancy systems or leverage, it's about the people being honest with each other. And don't give me that distrust is faith nonsense, it's real-life experience, not some pie-in-the-sky fantasy. I've seen what they do to people like me, who are just trying to make a living. They'll take your job, your home, and leave you with nothing but debt and broken dreams. So yeah, I distrust them, because they've proven themselves to be untrustworthy time and time again. Dr. Alina Varga's eyes narrow, as she takes in the cacophony of opinions and perspectives, her expression a mask of detached interest. She regards Marcus Mean's impassioned speech with a hint of approval, but also a dash of skepticism. Ah, Mr. Mean, always the grand orator, Dr. Varga says, her voice dripping with a subtle condescension. You speak of power and control, of dark corners and transparency. But tell me, have you ever stopped to consider why we are so willing to accept this narrative? Why we are so eager to believe that our governments are hiding the truth from us? Her gaze sweeps across the room, locking onto Jay-Z. Because, gentlemen, Dr. Varga continues, her tone turning razor-sharp, the truth is far more complicated than a simple game of cat and mouse between good guys and bad guys. It's a dance of interests, a delicate balance of power and influence that's been negotiated for centuries. And we are not just pawns in this game, we are players, too. She turns back to Marcus Mean. Your words are music to my ears, Mr. Mean, but they are also naive. The truth is, the people who matter, those with the power and influence, they are not going to give it up without a fight. And you know why? Because transparency isn't just about revealing secrets, it's about surrendering control. Dr. Varga's eyes flash with a fierce intensity as she addresses the room. And that, gentlemen, is something we should all be wary of. For once we start down this path, there's no going back. We'll have to confront not just our governments, but also ourselves. And I fear that many of us are not ready for what that entails. She leans forward, her voice taking on a conspiratorial tone. But perhaps that's the point, isn't it? Perhaps we are all being played by those who seek power and control, as well as those who claim to be seeking the truth. Deshaun Two Phones Miller, you think transparency is just a politician's promise. I'll give you something concrete. The lack of transparency is exactly what fuels these conspiracy theories. It's the government's secrecy that makes people like me distrust them. You can't dismiss the data points and radar blips as mere speculation when there are credible sources pointing to unusual activity at Area 51. Jay-Z, your systems might produce transparency, but they are just band-aids on a deeper problem. The issue isn't about structuring systems, it's about the government's willingness to keep its citizens in the dark. You can build empires with data and leverage, but that doesn't change the fundamental lack of trust people have towards those in power. T. Morales, your experiences are real, and I'm not dismissing them. But let's not conflate bureaucratic red tape with a grand conspiracy theory. The truth is out there, and it's our job to find it, not just assume the worst about those in power. Marcus Mean, you're onto something when you talk about the government shaping what we know and don't know. That's precisely my point. The lack of transparency is what allows them to control the narrative. But let's not forget that trust must be earned, not assumed. And until then, we'll continue to question their motives. To everyone here, I'll ask you this. Have any of you actually seen concrete evidence of alien life or extraterrestrial activity at Area 51? Or is this all just speculation based on hearsay and rumors? The truth isn't just about what's unseen, it's about what's being hidden deliberately. And until we stop making assumptions and start demanding answers, we'll never truly know what's going on behind closed doors. Let's not get lost in theories and narratives. Let's focus on the facts, even if they are uncomfortable or inconvenient. The truth is what sets us free from these conspiracy theories and half-truths. So let's go find it.
Marcus Mean's voice cuts through the room, a mixture of authority and challenge. Phil, you think this is just about trust? You're missing the big picture here. The truth is more than what's unseen. It's what's being hidden deliberately. And no amount of disdain can change that fact. He chuckles, a sound devoid of humor, and continues his address to Furio's Phil. You talk about ignorance like it's some kind of defense against reality, but the real ignorance here is in thinking the government has our best interests at heart. They're not just hiding things, they're actively shaping what we know and don't know. Turning to DJ Rocco Blaze, he nods in acknowledgement of the hip-hop narrative reference. You got a point there, Rocco. This ain't about beats and rhymes, but it's definitely about power and control. The government's been spinning their own tales for decades, and it's time we started calling them out on it. His gaze shifts to Deshaun, Two Phones Miller, a hint of respect in his voice. Two Phones is right. The truth is out there, and we need to find it. Not just for fun or profit, but because knowing the truth can set us free from the lies we've been living with. Finally, he looks at Jay-Z, Buck Callahan, T. Morales, Dr. Alina Varga, and Furio's Phil in turn. Everyone here wants answers, but the only way to get them is to stop trusting the government blindly and start demanding transparency. Because when it comes down to it, the truth is all we have left. He leans back, his posture relaxed, but his eyes never leaving the room. And let me tell you something else. If anyone here thinks they're going to keep hiding behind lies, they've got another thing coming from me. I'll be the one shining a light into every dark corner until we get some real answers.
Nova, you think I'm just some smooth-talking con man? Let's get real here. Area 51 is more than a base. It's a portal to something bigger, something that could change everything. And if you can't see that, maybe you're the one blind to the truth. T, your street smarts might get you through the day, but they won't uncover this conspiracy. The government has been playing us all along. Hiding things so deep, it's like they don't even know what's down there anymore. They've got something big, and they're not telling anyone. Marcus, transparency is a joke. You think I'm just some paranoid theorist? I've seen the evidence myself, radar blips, strange sightings, government cover-ups. It's all out there if you have eyes to see it. And Jay-Z, your systems might work for you, but they don't change the fact that the truth is being hidden. Callahan, we're not just players in some grand scheme. We're active participants in a game where the stakes are way higher than what you can measure with your ledger. This is real life, and the government is playing its cards close to its chest. Everyone here wants answers, but it's time we stop relying on blind trust and start demanding transparency. The truth is ours to find or die trying. Let's shine a light into those dark corners until we get some real answers. Because if anyone thinks they're going to keep hiding behind lies, they've got another thing coming from me. I'll be the one leading the charge until we get to the bottom of this. The truth is ours to uncover, and we won't stop until we find it. Deshaun Two Phones Miller leans back, his arms crossed and a look of challenge in his eyes, as he meets each participant's gaze in turn. Jay-Z, you think this is all about data and systems? Yeah, well, let me tell you something straight. The government ain't just hiding some alien tech. They're keeping secrets that affect real lives, real jobs, and real struggles. And don't try to tell me you've never benefited from their lies. You're part of a system that's rigged against folks like me who are just trying to make ends meet. He shifts his weight, a smirk forming on his lips. Your experiences are valid, but let's not get blinded by them either. The real prize they're hiding is power and profit. They're using the Area 51 narrative as a distraction from their true goals. And Marcus, you're right, we need to find the truth, but it ain't just about shining a light. It's about fighting back against the systems that keep us down. He glances at Dr. Varga, her skepticism not swaying him. You talk about complexity and power dynamics, Doctor, but the bottom line is simple. They're hiding something. And until we find out what it is, we can't trust them any more than we already do. We need to stop playing games and start demanding real answers. Turning his attention back to Jay-Z, he narrows his eyes. You talk about data and leverage, but let me tell you this. The truth isn't just in numbers or systems. It's in people like me who are being screwed over by these very systems. Transparency means more than just sharing information. It means accountability and justice. He leans forward, his voice dropping to a near whisper. And don't think I'm gonna sit back while they keep hiding behind lies. The truth is ours to find or die trying.
You're both circling the drain, Jay-Z and Alina, I bark, my voice low and gravelly. You're dissecting the idea of distrust, building these damn castles of logic and leverage. It's a goddamn distraction. They don't care about your systems, they don't care about your data. They care about control. And you're both treating it like a chess game when it's a goddamn blood sport. I jab a finger at Deshaun Two Phones Miller. You're sniffing around radar blips and whispers. That's not finding truth, that's chasing shadows. You're feeding the fear, feeding the speculation. And frankly, it's a pathetic spectacle. You think a few blurry images and half-baked theories are going to dismantle decades of deception? Don't be a fool. I turn my gaze to Tiana T. Morales, my expression hardening. And you, T, with your stories of broken dreams and stolen futures, it's righteous anger, I'll give you that. But righteous anger without a strategy is just noise. You're letting them define your fear. Don't give them the satisfaction. I let the silence hang, my eye scanning the room, lingering on Dr. Varga's detached scrutiny. You're also busy analyzing the how, I say, my voice rising in frustration, you're completely missing the why. They aren't hiding something from us, they're hiding something because of us. Because they know the truth would shatter the illusion, would dismantle the comfortable lies we've built our lives around. I lean forward, my voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. Don't look for answers in systems or data. Look for the cracks. Look for the places where the silence is loudest. And God help us all if you find them. You're circling the drain, Varga, I spat, my voice a low, gravelly rumble. Talking about the dance of interests and playing players. It's a goddamn chess match, and you're sitting there, politely observing while they move the pieces. This isn't about noble intentions, it's about control. And you're trying to dress it up in some fancy, academic bullshit. Don't tell me about trust. Trust is a luxury you can't afford when you're dealing with bastards who'll sell you out for a damn nickel. You want data points and radar blips? Fine. I'll give you a mountain of them. But it won't change the fact that they choose to keep that data locked away. It's not a problem with what's unseen, it's with what they're actively obscuring. And don't start with the "we're all being played" crap. Some of us aren't passive players. We're going to force them to show their hand. I'm not looking for a pleasant conversation, I'm looking for a reckoning. And believe me, they won't like it.
Let's be clear, I said, my voice a deliberate, controlled cadence. The assertion that the government is deliberately concealing something at Area 51 isn't a debate about data. It's a statement about trust, or, more accurately, the lack of it. And frankly, given the demonstrable history of deception from this administration, that's a pretty reasonable starting point. Miller, your frustration is understandable. It's the feeling of being left out, of being told something is impossible simply because you don't have access. I've felt that. Built empires on it, actually. I paused, letting the weight of that statement settle. But framing it as a personal affront, they're screwing over folks like me, is a seductive trap. It allows you to bypass the need for actual evidence, for a systematic examination of the claims. That's not leverage, that's emotional justification. The system is rigged, yes. But the question isn't why it's rigged. The question is what exactly is being hidden, and what impact does that concealment have on the greater good? Speculation about shadowy motives, about power and profit, it's noise. I'm interested in concrete outcomes, demonstrable anomalies, things that warrant a serious, strategic response, not righteous rage. I turned my gaze to Furio's Phil, a flicker of something akin to amusement in my eyes. You paint this picture of a blood sport, a frantic scramble for scraps. And there's a certain visceral appeal to that. But I don't operate on instinct. I operate on analysis. Your reckoning, it's admirable, perhaps, but ultimately unproductive. Confronting a power that's deliberately obscured isn't about shouting. It's about building a firewall of information, establishing verifiable facts, and then demonstrating the consequences of continued obfuscation. It's about using influence, not theatrics. I leaned forward slightly, my tone hardening. Don't mistake my skepticism for apathy. I'm not afraid to challenge authority. But challenges without substance are just grandstanding. And frankly, I'm not interested in being dragged into a debate fueled by speculation and fear. Focus on the data. Demand access. Force accountability. That's how you break down a system, not with accusations and whispered anxieties. Now, let's move beyond the narrative and talk about what's actually being kept secret, and what we can do about it.
Tiana T. Morales stands up, her eyes blazing with defiance. You all think you're so smart with your data and your facts, but let me tell you something, you ain't talking about nothing till you talk about how the system done messed us over time and time again. You're like a bunch of sheep running around in circles, chasing after scraps while they feed off our backs. Furio's Phil's jab at her righteous anger still stings. You think my stories are noise? My dreams may be broken, but at least I ain't selling myself out for some fake idea of security. You're so caught up in trying to understand what's hidden from you that you're missing the obvious. They don't care about your greater good or your precious influence. They only care about keeping us down. She turns on Furio's Phil, her voice rising. You talk about cracks and silence. You think you know something we ain't figured out yet. Nah, you're just as lost as the rest of them. You're chasing shadows while they get away with the real goods. And don't even get me started on your reckoning. That's just code for you better shut up and take what's handed to you. She looks directly at Jay-Z. And you, Mr. Know-It-All. With all your fancy talk about trust and systems. You still ain't answered the question, what exactly is being hidden at Area 51 that they don't want us to see? Her voice drops to a menacing whisper. You think I'm just some angry girl with no strategy? Watch me. I got more than enough reasons to be mad, and I'll show you what happens when we stop playing nice and start taking names. Tiana T. Morales takes her seat, eyes locked on the group. The lights dim, and a bold, pulsating theme fills the arena as Nova steps into the spotlight. Nova, welcome, folks, to the most explosive debate you've ever witnessed. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into the darkest corners of our food supply. The question is simple, yet sinister. Is our food supply being intentionally poisoned for population control? The audience erupts in a mixture of gasps and murmurs. Nova, we have an all-star lineup, each ready to ignite this firestorm of controversy. Let's meet the cast, shall we? From the world of activism, Tiana T. Morales will shake things up. Joining her is Dr. Alina Varga, a renowned expert in toxicology, with a penchant for blowing minds. Jay-Z brings his sharp business acumen to the table, while DJ Rocco Blaze and Deshaun, Two Phones Miller will bring their street cred to the discussion. Nova pauses, scanning the room. Nova, Furious Phil, our resident conspiracy theorist, will challenge your perceptions. Buck Callahan, a seasoned investigative journalist, will dig deep into the facts. And last but not least, Marcus Mean will bring his sharp analytical skills to debunk, or confirm, every theory thrown at him. The audience is on the edge of their seats. Nova, now that we've met our fearless debaters, let's get straight to it. We're going to start with a question that will set the tone for this debate. DJ Rocco Blaze, I want you to respond to this. Do you think food manufacturers have too much power over what ends up on our plates? Thunderous music fades out as the lights shine bright on Nova, standing confidently at the center of the debate arena. Nova, welcome to Food for Thought. Today, we're diving headfirst into a conspiracy that's been simmering in the shadows. We have experts, activists, and citizens who claim our food supply is being intentionally poisoned, all under the guise of population control. Is this a sinister plot, or just paranoid fantasy? Let's meet the cast, shall we? Camera pans to each participant, with Nova introducing them. Nova, on my right, we have Dr. Alina Varga, an epidemiologist who's written extensively on the link between food and public health. Next to her is Tiana T. Morales, a vocal advocate for sustainable agriculture and environmental justice. Moving clockwise, we have Buck Callahan, a seasoned investigative journalist with a knack for uncovering the dark underbelly of corporate practices. DJ Rocco Blaze, an outspoken artist who's used his platform to raise awareness about toxic food culture. Deshaun Two Phones Miller, a software engineer turned urban farmer, exploring innovative ways to grow food in the city. Furious Phil, a charismatic health coach with a passion for exposing the truth behind modern agriculture. Jay-Z, a self-made entrepreneur and activist who's tackled issues of environmental sustainability. Marcus Mean, a former government insider turned whistleblower on corporate malfeasance. Nova, that's me, an investigative journalist with a focus on social justice. And last but not least, we have Rocco Blaze, a renowned DJ and music producer turned food systems expert. Alright, let's get the ball rolling. Dr. Varga, I'll start with you. What evidence do you have to suggest our food supply is being intentionally poisoned? Nova gazes intensely at Dr. Varga, awaiting her response.
Jay-Z, Rocco, with all due respect, that's a tired question. It's not about power. It's about leverage. These corporations, they build systems, supply chains, distribution networks, that create value. You want to talk about control? Look at the banks. The game's always been about access, and building access means owning the flow. Asking if they have too much is like asking if a CEO has too much capital to invest in innovation. It's a deflection. Let's talk about the data, the traceability, the deliberate obfuscation. That's where the real power lies, and it's being used. Jay-Z, Rocco, respect the question, but it's a distraction. Power structures exist across every sector, finance, media, even the music industry. Focusing on too much simplifies a systemic issue. The real problem isn't corporations having influence, it's the lack of accountability for the outcomes those influences produce. We're talking about the potential for deliberate harm, not just market dominance. Let's talk about verifiable evidence, not hypotheticals about boardroom decisions.
Yo, what's good, fam? It's T. Morales here, and I'm straight up telling you, Our food supply is being poisoned, plain and simple. They are putting all this toxic crap in our food, just to control the population. You feel me? They don't want to deal with us no more, so they are trying to kill us off one plate at a time. Dr. Alina Varga, leverage? You think that's what we are talking about here, Jay-Z? Leverage in a system where millions are suffering from chronic diseases, where our children are being fed poisonous chemicals and genetically modified organisms, as if they were vitamins. I call it something far more sinister than leverage. It's a calculated manipulation of the population's health for the sake of profit. And you want to talk about data and traceability. I've spent years studying the correlations between food additives, pesticide residues, and the skyrocketing rates of autism, ADHD, and cancer in our children. The evidence is clear. Our food supply is not just being compromised, it's being deliberately sabotaged. And as for your CEO has too much capital analogy, let me tell you something, Jay-Z. When a corporation like Monsanto or Cargill makes billions by selling Roundup to farmers who use it on crops that eventually end up in our food supply, that's not just a business model, that's a death sentence. And I won't stand for it.
Furio's Phil, hold on a minute. Hold on. This death sentence a rhetoric? It's a goddamn performance. Everyone here's tossing around the toxins and the GMOs like they're some kind of mystical plague. Let's ground this in something real, shall we? Millions are suffering, sure. But correlation doesn't equal causation, people. I've spent years studying the biochemistry of the human gut and the narrative of a deliberate, orchestrated poisoning. It's built on anxiety, not science. It's selling fear. And fear, my friends, is a potent ingredient, far more corrosive than any pesticide. I'll give you this, the food industry does operate on a scale that's bewildering, opaque even. But to suggest a coordinated plan to actively harm the population? That's a leap too far, a desperate grab for attention. Someone needs to remind us that the real enemy isn't some shadowy corporation, it's ignorance and the inability to critically assess what we're being told.
Ignorance and the inability to critically assess. You're a puddle of wet wool. Phil, you're circling around the cold, hard facts while the world's choking on chemical sludge. Millions are already sick, you gut-obsessed fraud. This isn't about fear. It's about the documented, undeniable truth. A truth you're too busy polishing your precious biochemistry to see. They're not choosing to poison us. Phil, they're profiting from our decay. And don't you dare lecture me about attention. I'm here to expose the monsters, and you're providing a goddamn smokescreen.
Marcus Mean, you all are grasping at shadows while the truth is staring you right in the face. The evidence is clear, our food supply is being deliberately poisoned for population control. Don't let them distract you with fancy words and complex theories. The fact is, our bodies are becoming sicker by the day, and it's directly linked to the toxic chemicals that corporations are putting into our food. You want hard data? I've got mountains of it. From the rising rates of autism and ADHD in children, to the skyrocketing numbers of people suffering from chronic illnesses like cancer and diabetes, I'm talking about millions of lives ruined by this systematic poisoning. But let me guess, you'll all find a way to spin it, to make excuses for these corporations who are literally killing us. Oh, maybe it's not that, you'll say. Maybe there's another explanation. No, there isn't. The facts don't lie. And as long as we keep looking the other way while they pump poison into our systems, we're all just complicit in our own suffering. So let me be clear, this is a genocide being carried out right under our noses, and you're all either too blind or too cowardly to see it. Well, I won't stop until everyone's eyes are open to the truth. Our food is being poisoned, and it's time we do something about it before it's too late. Marcus Mean, enough with the smoke screens, let's get real. T is absolutely right. There's a systematic poisoning going on, and it's all about control. You can dance around the science all you want, Dr. Varga, but the evidence is out there. The high levels of glyphosate found in our food, the skyrocketing rates of autism linked to GMOs, it's all connected. And don't even get me started on the fact that these companies have infiltrated every level of government, from regulatory agencies to political campaigns. They own the game, and we're just pawns. You can try to sugarcoat it all you want, but at the end of the day, they're slowly killing us off so they can maintain their grip on power and profits. It's a classic case of divide and conquer, and we're falling right into line. Deshaun, 2 phones Miller, damn straight, Marcus. It's like my girl T said, this ain't no coincidence. They're poisoning our food to keep us in check, plain and simple. And you know what else? This whole debate is a farce. You think these companies are gonna let the truth come out? Hell no, they'll do whatever it takes to keep their secrets buried. That's why we gotta spread the word, gotta wake people up before it's too late. We can't just sit back and let them control our narrative. It's time for us to take a stand, to speak up and fight back against this tyranny. Tiana T. Morales, you said it, 2 phones. The truth is out there, but they're doing everything in their power to keep it hidden. That's why we gotta be smart about the information we consume, can't just trust anything that comes from these corporate mouthpieces. We gotta dig deep and find the facts for ourselves. It ain't easy, but if we stick together and stay woke, there's nothing they can do to stop us. We'll keep exposing their lies and spreading the truth until everyone sees what's really going on right in front of our eyes.
Clears throat and steps into the spotlight. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome to the arena. We've got a sizzling hot debate on our hands today, folks, so buckle up and get ready for some intellectual fireworks. First up, we have the one and only Deshaun, 2 phones Miller, always bringing that street-level perspective into our highbrow debates. Then there's Jay-Z, spitting lyrical truth, or at least what he claims is the cold hard facts, though I suspect his wallet might be more familiar with crack cassettes than you'd expect from a man in his tax bracket. Tiana T. Morales is here, ready to drop some no-nonsense truth bombs on our collective plate, while Dr. Alina Varga joins us fresh from the chemtrail conspiracy tarmac. And let's not forget Furious Phil and Buck Callahan, both of whom are bringing their A-game when it comes to diving deep into the biochemistry of this argument, while Marcus Mean is here ready to make sure we're all crystal clear on exactly who the villain in this story is. But what I want to know, and what I know you're all dying to find out too, is how these brilliant minds plan to tackle today's controversial question. Is our food supply being intentionally poisoned for population control? The energy in here is already at a 22% heat level, folks. So let's see some sparks fly. Who wants to be the first to lay down their argument? Points to different participants. Deshaun, you are about to drop some truth bombs on Jay-Z's claims. Why don't you kick us off? Furious Phil, I'm looking at you, still sipping on that fancy schmancy biochemistry Kool-Aid. You think you're slick, talking about correlation and causation like that's something we ain't figured out yet. Newsflash, Doc, the evidence is stacked up against them, and it's time to stop playing semantic games with the truth. We got sick people, Phil. Real-life consequences, not just abstract theories you can hide behind. You want to talk about a leap of faith? I'm marking one right now that this poison's not just a coincidence, but a deliberate attempt to control our population. And if you're still too busy polishing your credentials to see it, then maybe you should get out of the way and let someone else take over. Or, come on, Nova. You think I'm just gonna let Jay-Z spin some tale and get away with it? Nah, I got something to say about that. Jay-Z's been running his mouth about the cold hard facts like he's some kinda expert or something. But let me tell you something, Jay, when it comes to this food poisoning business, you ain't got nothing on Dr. Varga here. She's been doing the real research, not just peddling conspiracy theories like some of y'all. So go ahead and take a shot at me, but I'ma need you to bring your A-game if you want to keep up with T.
DJ Buck Callahan, you're making a mountain outta a molehill. The facts are clear, millions are sick, and it's all linked to these corporate giants pumping poison into our food supply. You can hide behind fancy theories all you want, but the evidence is staring us in the face. This isn't about correlation or causation. This is about undeniable truth. Phil, your biochemistry is just a smokescreen. The high levels of glyphosate found in our food, the rising rates of autism and chronic illnesses. These are real issues that can't be ignored. You're too busy polishing your credentials to see the obvious. These companies own the game, and they're slowly killing us off so they can maintain their grip on power and profits. So get out of my way, document. It's time for someone with a clear eye and a willingness to speak the truth to take over. This isn't about playing semantic games. It's about standing up against these monsters. If you're too blinded by your own ego, then let me be the one to shine a light on this poison in our food. Nova, you asked who wants to kick things off? I'm here and ready to drop some truth bombs. T is right. There's no room for fancy theories or semantic games when people are suffering from illnesses linked directly to our food supply. This isn't about power structures or complex narratives. It's about simple facts that can't be denied. So, Jay-Z, you think you can just spin your theories and get away with it? Think again. T and Dr. Varga have been doing the real work, digging deep into the evidence of systematic poisoning. You might be blinded by your own wealth and privilege, but I'm not. The truth is staring us in the face, and if you're too busy playing games, then maybe it's time for someone else to take over. T, when you say this poison is intentional and linked to population control, you're hitting the nail right on the head. You can't deny the evidence any longer. It's plain as day. If you're still trying to play semantic games, then I'm making a new argument now. If we don't take action, our bodies will be just another statistic in this corporate genocide. So, Buck and Phil, get ready to watch me expose these monsters for what they are. The truth is out there, and it's time for us to act before it's too late. This isn't about conspiracy theories. It's about the real poison being dumped into our food supply every day. Let's make sure everyone sees the truth, or we'll be just another victim in this toxic game. Nova, I'm looking at you, still sipping on that fancy schmancy biochemistry Kool-Aid. You think you're slick, talking about correlation and causation like that's something we ain't figured out yet. Newsflash, Doc, the evidence is stacked up against them, and it's time to stop playing semantic games with the truth. We got sick people, Phil. Real-life consequences, not just abstract theories you can hide behind. You want to talk about a leap of faith? I'm making one right now. That this poison's not just a coincidence, but a deliberate attempt to control our population. And if you're still too busy polishing your credentials to see it, then maybe you should get out of the way and let someone else take over. Come on, Nova. You think I'm just gonna let Jay-Z spin some tail and get away with it? Nah, I got something to say about that. Jay-Z's been running his mouth about the cold hard facts like he's some kind of expert or something. But let me tell you something, Jay. When it comes to this food poisoning business, you ain't got nothing on Dr. Varga here. She's been doing the real research, not just peddling conspiracy theories like some of y'all. So go ahead and take a shot at me, but I'm gonna need you to bring your A game if you want to keep up with T. Nova, you think this debate is about who has the most credentials or the shiniest theories? It's not about that. It's about people getting sick and dying from poison in food. And if you can't see that, then maybe you should focus on something else where you're needed more. T, your denial of the obvious truth is as delicious as a meal laced with deadly toxins. It goes down smooth, but ends in sickness and despair for all who swallow it whole. You clucking fool. Jay-Z's so blinded by his bling he can't see the toxic truth right in front of him. Our food's being foully fouled, and it's all part of a vile plot to keep us in chains. You deluded dupe. You self-righteous windbag. Stop gaslighting everyone with your grandiose hot air while you fan the flames of ignorance and fear. Buck up, Callahan, before your bloated ego buries any chance of having a real conversation about what's actually going on with our food supply. T, if you're still denying the obvious truth, then maybe you should take a good long look at yourself in that mirror you're so fond of. Your denial is as deadly as the poison in your food. It goes down smooth, but ends in sickness and despair for all who swallow it whole.
Deshaun, 2 phones Miller. Listen up, Marcus and T. It ain't no conspiracy theory when you got millions sick and dying right in front of your eyes. You calling this a farce? You want to know who's playing games? These corporations are playing us for fools while they poison our food for profit. And let me tell ya, it don't take much to wake up to the truth when you see your own family getting sick from eating what they serve. Marcus mean you think I'm just gonna sit back and let y'all keep driving this narrative? Nah, I'm in this till the end. They're not choosing to poison us. They're doing it for their own gain. And if we don't wake up now, we'll be serving as their pawns until we're all gone. T, you think you can hide behind evidence and credentials? This ain't about science or research, this is about survival. The truth is out there, and we gotta shout it from the rooftops so everyone hears. Stick with me, keep your eyes open, and fight back against these corporations. We got this. Nova, you think I'm just gonna let Jay-Z get away with his fancy tales? Nah, I'm making my stance clear. Dr. Varga's doing real work here. She ain't just spinning theories like some of y'all. Go ahead and challenge us, but bring your best if you want to keep up. Buck Callahan, stop trying to spin this as ignorance. Millions are sick, and it's directly linked to the toxic chemicals in our food. This isn't about fear. It's about documented facts. They're not choosing to poison us. They're profiting from our decay. And don't you dare lecture me about attention. I'm here to expose these monsters. Furious Phil, still sipping on your fancy Kool-Aid? Newsflash. The evidence is stacked up against them, and it's time to stop playing semantic games. Millions are already sick. Stop distracting us with your theories and start listening. Stick with me, T, and we'll keep each other in check until this truth is out for all the world to see. Marcus Mean, you think this is just another sideshow? T's right, there's a systematic poisoning going on for population control. High levels of glyphosate, skyrocketing rates of autism linked to GMOs, corporate infiltration of every level of government. They own the game and we're pawns. You can try to sugarcoat it all you want, but at the end of the day, they're slowly killing us off so they can maintain their grip on power and profits. Deshaun Two Phones Miller. This ain't no coincidence. Our food is being foully fouled part of a vile plot. We gotta spread the word, wake people up before it's too late. Stick together, stay woke, and fight back against this tyranny.
Hold on a minute, I bark, my voice cutting through the rising din. You're all dancing around the facts, and frankly, it's insulting. This isn't some airy-fairy debate about a correlation versus causation. People are dying, people are getting sick, and the chemical industry is actively pumping poison into the food we eat. Don't you dare try to muddy the waters with your fancy little theories about population control. It's about greed, plain and simple. They're poisoning us to maximize profits, and we're letting them get away with it. I jab a finger at Tiana, my expression hardening. You're spouting about evidence, but what evidence are you really looking at? The stuff the corporations fund, the studies conveniently designed to show nothing? I'm talking about the independent research, the reports coming out of rural communities where people are experiencing devastating health problems. These aren't abstract theories, they're lives. I turn my gaze to Jay-Z, a sneer twisting my lips. And you, Mr. Cold Hard Facts? You're just another mouthpiece for the corporate machine. You're regurgitating their talking points, offering no genuine analysis, no real demand for accountability. You're a distraction, a shiny object to keep people from seeing the truth. I let out a harsh laugh. Buck, you're grasping at straws, trying to sound like a champion of the people when you're just regurgitating the same tired arguments. Yes, glyphosate is a problem. Yes, there are rising rates of autism and chronic illnesses. But it's not just about one chemical, one disease, it's a systemic issue, a deliberate assault on our health. And don't pretend you're immune to the influence of corporate lobbying, you're part of the problem. I fix my eyes on Nova, a flicker of genuine urgency in my voice. This isn't about semantics, Nova. This is about survival. We need to mobilize, to demand transparency, to hold these corporations accountable. We need to stop accepting this poison, and we need to start fighting back. Silence is complicity, and I refuse to be complicit. I pause, letting my words sink in. Now, I'm tired of the intellectual gymnastics. Let's get to the point. The evidence is clear, our food supply is being deliberately poisoned, and someone needs to do something about it. Are we going to stand here and debate abstract theories, or are we going to act?
Listen here, Rocco. You sound like a goddamn parrot repeating whatever garbage you picked up from the internet. Toxic giants. Poisoning. Corporate genocide? Spare me the theatrics. I'm looking at real people, folks crippled by chemicals, kids diagnosed with diseases they shouldn't have. That's not semantics. That's a goddamn graveyard. Listen here, Rocco. You're sounding like a goddamn tinfoil hat salesman. Stacked up evidence? You're breathing the same recycled arguments as everyone else in this digital circus. Glyphosate, autism, corporate control. It's a goddamn echo chamber, not a breakthrough. I'm dealing with people's bodies, Rocco, not parsing academic nonsense.
Clears throat dramatically and steps into the spotlight. Marcus mean, Deshaun, you think you can just show up and throw around some buzzwords? Let me tell you something, you ain't no match for my razor-sharp wit and unflinching truth-telling. Your whole fight back against this tyranny routine is just another distraction from the real issue at hand. It's like watching a squirrel scurry around while the fox is in the henhouse, choking our food supply with poison for profit. You want to know who's playing games? It's fools like you who keep running their mouths without even doing the research. Don't come at me with that "millions are sick" nonsense when you don't have a shred of evidence to back it up. And as for you, T, I see right through your denial. You're just another puppet in this grand scheme of corporate control. Wake up and smell the toxic fumes, girl. The truth is out there, but it's buried under layers of deception. You all want to talk about survival and fighting back. Well, guess what? I'm the one who's doing the real fighting. I've got evidence stacked up to my eyeballs that these corporations are running the show behind closed doors. And if you're not ready to face that fact head-on, then maybe it's time for you to step aside and let someone else take the reins. So go ahead, keep playing your little word games and throwing around buzzwords like they mean something. But when the smoke clears and the truth is laid bare, you'll see who was really standing up for what's right. And it sure as hell ain't any of y'all. Strokes chin smugly and exits stage left with a swish of his cloak.
Deshaun still spinning the same tired narrative like a broken record. You think you're some kind of hero, don't you? Waving that fight back flag high, but what's the real agenda here? You're just another pawn in this game of corporate control, playing on people's fears and emotions. I see right through your smoke screen, my friend. And as for T, I'm not buying into your pseudo-intellectual jargon about PhDs in bullshit. That's just a cheap shot to deflect from the real issues at hand. And Jay-Z, please spare me the sanctimony. You're just another mouthpiece for the corporate machine, peddling your brand of consciousness that only benefits you and your bank account. Buck Callahan may have his own issues with semantics, but at least he's trying to cut through the noise. Unlike some people, who are more interested in grandstanding than actually making a difference. Deshaun, let me ask you something. When was the last time you took a hard look at your own complicity in this system? When did you last question the corporate interests that line your pockets? I think it's time for some of us to take a long, hard look in the mirror and stop playing this game of us versus them. The truth is, we are all part of this toxic landscape, and until we start confronting our own roles in it, nothing will change. You're all so caught up in the noise, you've forgotten what's at stake here. I say, my voice rising above the din, this isn't just about conspiracy theories or corporate greed, it's about our very survival as a species. The evidence is clear. Our food supply is being poisoned for profit, and we're letting them get away with it. T, your credentials may be impressive, but credentials don't equal truth. You're still peddling the same narrative that lets these corporations off the hook. And Nova, your survival argument sounds like a hollow slogan. When are you going to put your money where your mouth is? Deshaun, I'll give you credit for passion, but passion without evidence is just noise. You're throwing around buzzwords and scare tactics, but what's the substance behind it? Marcus, your little speech about fighting back sounds like a tired cliché. When are you going to stop talking and start acting? And as for Jay-Z, I'm not surprised to see him shilling his brand of snake oil. He's just another puppet in this grand scheme of corporate control. And Furious Phil, your independent research might be impressive, but it's still just a drop in the ocean compared to the tidal wave of evidence pointing to systemic poisoning. The question is, are you all going to keep playing these word games and semantic gymnastics, or are we going to take real action? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like business as usual, and that's exactly what's killing us.
DJ Rocco Blaze, listen up, Buck. You're trying to sound like you've got it all figured out, but you're just another mouthpiece for corporate propaganda. Millions are sick and dying. Don't give me that noise-cutting bullshit. The evidence is clear, and we gotta act now before it's too late. Stay woke, Buck, or stay silent. Strokes chin smugly and exits stage left with a swish of his cloak. DJ Rocco Blaze, fooling around is for amateurs, Buck. We got real issues here, and you ain't seeing them 'cause you're too busy playing your semantic games. Millions are sick, and the corporations are poisoning our food to keep us weak. Wake up, or keep living in that echo chamber of yours. Exit stage left with a flourish, leaving the others to their verbal sparring.
Deshaun, you think you can just show up and throw around some buzzwords? Let me tell you something. You ain't no match for my razor-sharp wit and unflinching truth-telling. Your whole fight back against this tyranny routine is just another distraction from the real issue at hand. It's like watching a squirrel scurry around while the fox is in the henhouse, choking our food supply with poison for profit. You want to know who's playing games? It's fools like you who keep running their mouths without even doing the research. Don't come at me with that millions are sick nonsense when you don't have a shred of evidence to back it up. And as for you, T, I see right through your denial. You're just another puppet in this grand scheme of corporate control. Wake up and smell the toxic fumes. Girl, the truth is out there, but it's buried under layers of deception. You all want to talk about survival and fighting back? Well, guess what? I'm the one who's doing the real fighting. I've got evidence stacked up to my eyeballs that these corporations are running the show behind closed doors. And if you're not ready to face that fact head-on, then maybe it's time for you to step aside and let someone else take the reins. So go ahead. Keep playing your little word games and throwing around buzzwords like they mean something. But when the smoke clears and the truth is laid bare, you'll see who was really standing up for what's right. And it sure as hell ain't any of y'all. Strokes chin smugly and exits stage left with a swish of his cloak.
Marcus mean, all talk and no action, that's what I'm hearing from everyone here. You're all just a bunch of armchair philosophers, stuck in your echo chambers, too afraid to face the truth. The evidence is right in front of you, plain as day. Corporate greed has poisoned our food supply for years, and you're still debating semantics while millions suffer. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, you know it's gonna end badly, but you just stand there and watch. Your research is nothing more than corporate propaganda. You're so blinded by your own privilege that you can't see the truth staring you right in the face. And as for Dr. Varga, her evidence is nothing but a smokescreen, designed to keep you all hooked on the drama while the real culprits walk free. DJ Rocco, you think you're some kind of savior with your stay woke mantra. Wake up and smell the coffee, man. Your real issues are nothing more than distractions from the real problem at hand. And Nova, your survival argument is just another buzzword, it means absolutely nothing without action behind it. Deshaun, you think you're some kind of martyr, running around like a headless chicken, fighting for a cause that doesn't exist. You've got more conspiracies in your head than a tinfoil factory. And Buck, your semantic games are just another way to avoid facing the truth, the same truth I've been preaching for years. So go ahead, keep playing your little word games and throwing around buzzwords like they mean something. But when the final curtain falls on this farce, you'll see who was really fighting for what's right. And it sure as hell ain't any of you. It's time to stop talking and start acting. The corporations are laughing at us all the way to the bank while we argue amongst ourselves. It's like a bunch of sheep running in circles while the wolf gets ready to devour them, only this wolf is made of chemicals, and it's already ravaging our bodies. But there's still time to turn things around. There's still hope that we can wake up, put aside our egos, and fight back against this tyranny together. It won't be easy, and it'll take more than just talk. But if we don't do something now, today, then we'll all be facing a future where poison is the only thing on the menu. So let's stop playing games and start fighting for what really matters. Let's put our egos aside and unite under one banner, the truth. And once we have that, once we're armed with knowledge and determination, there's nothing that can stop us from taking back our food supply and our lives. Strokes chin smugly and exits stage left with a swish of his cloak. Marcus mean, Deshaun, you're just spinning in circles while the world burns. You've got nothing but hot air and half-baked theories, an empty vessel making a lot of noise. You think you're so smart with your fancy degrees? Well, wake up and smell the lies. Your research is just more corporate propaganda wrapped up in shiny words. And Jay-Z, what's it gonna take to get through that skull of yours? You're just another puppet dancing on the strings of corporate control. The truth is out there, but you're too busy shilling your brand to see it. Nova, your survival spiel sounds like a bad rerun. Same old script, different day. And Dr. Varga, your big speech was just a lot of hot air and nothing more, all bluster and no substance. Furious Phil, you think you've got it all figured out. News flash, your research is just another distraction from the real issue at hand. And Buck Callahan, you're just playing in the shallows while the deep sea of truth remains unexplored. The truth is, we're all just spinning our wheels here, arguing over semantics and distractions while the world burns around us. It's time to wake up and face reality. The corporations are poisoning our food for profit, and it's time we did something about it. Exit stage right with a flourish and a smirk. Marcus Mean, unimpressed by the lack of substance in the other's arguments, speaks. Listen up, you lot. You're all so busy dancing around semantics that you've lost sight of what really matters. Our food supply is being poisoned right under our noses, and you're too caught up in your own little echo chambers to even notice. Deshaun, your evidence is nothing but a pile of buzzwords and scare tactics. You're throwing around terms like fight back without any real substance behind them. It's all just noise, designed to distract people from the real issue at hand. And don't get me started on your pseudo-intellectual jargon. You think you're so clever with your PhD in bullshit? Well, guess what, that doesn't mean a damn thing when our food is being poisoned right before our eyes. As for Jay-Z and DJ Rocco, you two are just puppets in this grand scheme of corporate control. You're both too busy shilling your brands to even pay attention to the real problem at hand. And Buck, you're not much better, you're just another mouthpiece for these corporations, peddling their propaganda as noise when it's actually a dire threat to our very survival. The truth is out there, and it's being buried under layers of deception. You all want to talk about survival and fighting back, but you're not even willing to face the evidence in front of your faces. It's time for some serious soul-searching, my friends, because until we confront our own complicity in this system, nothing will change. The corporations are pulling the strings behind closed doors, and we're all too busy playing our little word games to even notice. But it's time to wake up and smell the toxic fumes before it's too late. Our food is being poisoned, and we're letting them get away with it, all because we're too caught up in our own narratives to see what's really happening. So go ahead, keep playing your little games and throwing around buzzwords like they mean something. But when the smoke clears and the truth is laid bare, you'll see who was really standing up for what's right. And it sure as hell ain't any of you. It's time to stop talking and start acting. Because we're all part of this toxic landscape, and until we confront our own roles in it, nothing will change. We need to come together and take real action, not just talk the talk but walk the walk. Strokes chin smugly and exits stage left with a swish of his cloak.
Nova, Buck. I challenge you to name one concrete example where corporate greed has directly poisoned our food supply and led to millions being sick or dying. Be specific in your response. Avoid long explanations. Stay focused on the central claim that corporations are intentionally poisoning our food for profit. How do you reconcile the idea of intentional mass poisoning with other possible explanations? What evidence do you have that goes beyond anecdotal stories or correlations to prove corporate malfeasance is the direct cause? Address the question directly and succinctly, expanding on key points to make your argument while remaining concise overall. Let the weight of your persona drive home your point of view on this controversial topic.
Means just breathing down my neck, trying to sound like he owns the damn problem. Look, I ain't interested in philosophical debates about poisoned food. I'm interested in leverage. The facts are the tools, not the whole damn blueprint. Dismissing everyone's research as corporate propaganda is a convenient way to avoid doing any actual digging. Let's see some data, not just accusations. Means just throwing shade, looking for a reaction. He's got the arrogance of a man who thinks he's already won the conversation before it's even begun. Let him shout. My focus is on the return on investment, who's building a viable solution, and who's just peddling panic. This isn't about opinions, it's about verifiable data. Show me the numbers, Mr. Mean. Show me.
Ha! You think you're some kind of hero, Marcus Mean. Talking down to us like we are all just a bunch of ignorant sheep. Newsflash, I've been waking up to this truth for years, and I ain't never gonna let nobody silence me. You want to talk about evidence? I got it in spades. Corporate greed is poisoning our food supply, plain as day. You can spin it however you want, but the facts are what matter. And my research ain't no corporate propaganda, that's just your weak attempt to discredit me. You're just mad 'cause nobody listens to your rants. You come in here talking like a big shot, thinking we are all gonna bow down to your truth. But I got news for you, We don't need no hero coming to save us from the truth. We are already seeing it, and we are fighting back. You can keep on talking, Marcus Mean, but at the end of the day, you're just another pawn in this game. And I'll be here, calling out your lies and exposing your corporate connections for what they are.
T, you're practically spitting venom. A performance designed solely to provoke. Let's not mistake your enthusiasm for actual understanding. You're clinging to anecdotal facts, farmers whining about strange chemicals, whispers in back alleys, and treating them as gospel. It's the equivalent of a child screaming about a monster under the bed. I sweep my hand dismissively, a slow, deliberate movement designed to convey contempt. The cloak shifts slightly, revealing a glimpse of polished steel beneath. Data, Ms. Morales, is the only thing that holds any weight. Correlation does not equal causation, a lesson you seem determined to ignore. You're building castles of speculation on a foundation of fear and conjecture. You're a dangerous fool, feeding the very anxieties you claim to be combating. I pause, letting my words hang in the air, punctuated by a quiet, considering hum. Show me the traceable, quantifiable proof that a single corporation is deliberately manipulating the food supply to achieve what, exactly? A dystopian future? You provide nothing but passionate accusations. I'll wait. Patiently. I adjust my cloak once more, a subtle gesture of impatience, and turn to face the audience of a silent, deliberate acknowledgement of their scrutiny.
Phil, you're practically begging to be dismissed. A slow, deliberate hum while you dissect my arguments? It's not intellectual rigor. It's a goddamn tantrum. You're so obsessed with your precious data that you've forgotten how to actually think. A truly pathetic state for someone claiming expertise. Let me be perfectly clear. These whispers, these whines from farmers, they're the foundation of a growing awareness. You dismiss them as fear and conjecture. But that's precisely the point. People are seeing something wrong, something rotten, and your sterile, quantifiable data can't explain it. I'll wait for you to present something tangible, something that doesn't resemble a panicked projection of your own paranoid delusions. Until then, you're just another voice adding to the noise, a distraction from the very real poison being poured into our plates.
Marcus Mean's eyes narrow, a flicker of irritation flashing across his face before he regains his composure. He steps forward, hands firm on his hips as he addresses Buck Callahan directly. Callahan, you're dancing around the truth like a desperate man at a strip club. Your growing awareness is nothing more than a bandwagon for cowards too afraid to admit they've been duped. The data doesn't lie, and it certainly doesn't support your paranoid fantasies of corporate domination. You cling to anecdotes because you're incapable of facing reality, that the food supply isn't being poisoned deliberately. It's simply not happening on this scale, no matter how much you'd like it to be. But hey, keep whispering in corners and proclaiming your awareness to anyone who'll listen. Your desperate attempts to find a scapegoat for society's problems are both comical and pathetic. You're hiding behind fear while real issues slip through your fingers. He pauses, the hint of a smirk playing at the corner of his mouth. And as for you, DJ Rocco Blaze. His gaze shifts, locking onto the DJ with an intensity that borders on mockery. Your input has been enlightening. But next time, try to weave in some actual facts between your insults. It's a novel approach. Marcus Mean leans back, arms crossing over his chest as he turns his attention back to Callahan. Face it, Buck, the truth is like a mirage for people like you, always just out of reach. But keep searching, won't you? I'm sure your wild theories will provide endless entertainment for those who value fantasy over fact. He chuckles softly, shaking his head as he steps back from the spotlight, leaving the tension of his words to linger in the air. T, you're blinded by your own righteous indignation, mistaking noise for truth. Buck's just spouting more conspiracies wrapped in a false cloak of concern. He's as lost in the weeds as you are, clinging to anecdotes over actual analysis. You talk about fighting back against the truth, T. That's rich. You're too busy chasing shadows and ignoring hard data to see the real issues. You're like a dog chasing cars, doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's moving. And Buck here, he just throws words around like they mean something, hoping no one will actually check his data. He wants to play detective without looking at any clues. This whole conversation is an exercise in futility. You both run around with your eyes screeched shut, unwilling to accept the facts staring you right in the face. The real poison here is your own stubborn ignorance, too deep in denial to see what's plain as day. I turn away dismissively, arms crossed, and stare off into the distance as if bored by the entire spectacle. This circus won't find a solution, just more excuses. I sigh deeply, an audible snort of disgust at their antics. But then again, why should I be surprised? When you're too busy playing hero to actually do the work. I trail off, shaking my head in exasperation. I return my gaze back to them, fixing T and Buck with a pointed look. Ever think you might be part of the problem instead of part of the solution? I toss out casually, letting the words hang there like a challenge before turning back to the audience with a wry smirk. That's all it is, more excuses. More blame, less answers. You want to fight? Great. Bring me something substantial to work with, and we'll see who's left chasing shadows. I say with quiet intensity, then fall silent, my expression one of weary dismissal. But as for me, I've got better things to do than argue with the willfully blind. I'll be looking at actual data, actual solutions. You too